In this video, we'll take a look at how to send MIDI messages in code. While the MIDI mapping panel is convenient for simple things like a fader or a button, it's actually quite limited because we only get these few fields. And if we want to build really powerful Lemur controllers, we want to use code to do interesting and fun things with the MIDI data. So first, let's disable this MIDI mapping panel, and I can just do that by setting the Lemur target to none, and that'll just disconnect it. So in order to make this work, all we need to do is to write a script that listens for changes to X and sends MIDI. And we already know how to do that using an onExpression script. So I'll create a new script and I'll just call it send. And I'll set the execution mode to onExpression, listen for changes to X, and we'll leave this set to any because we want this script to execute anytime X changes. So what do we do in here? Well, just like we were able to write scripts to add custom behavior to Lemur, Lemur comes with a whole bunch of built-in functions in its standard library. If you look in the project navigator, in the section called internal, you can see all of the functions that Lemur has built in. So under canvas, you can see all the functions related to drawing vector graphics with the canvas object. There are functions related to synchronizing Lemur with a clock to build sequencers. There's mathematical operations and operations related to setting the properties on UI objects so that you can build dynamic UIs. But the one we want is in I/O, and it is this one, ctlout target controller value channel. So I have the Lemur user guide open here, and I've got this open to scripting output functions, and I can see ctlout target controller value channel outputs a control change MIDI message with the specified target, controller number, value, and channel. Perfect. So I'll just copy this to the clipboard, and I'll come into my send script, and I'll just paste it in, and always add a semicolon at the end of every line. And now all we have to do is substitute these values for the values that we want. So for the target, we want to send on Lemur target 0, so I'll type 0. For the controller number, we want to send MIDI controller number 1, so I'll type 1. I'll come back to value in a second. For channel, we want to send on MIDI channel 1. So what do we want to do for a value? Well, a fader's X is a value between 0 and 1, and we want to scale it to the MIDI values of 0 to 127. And we already know how to do that. We did that when we implemented this little mini monitor on the fader. And all we had to do is write X times 127. So I'll just copy it and paste it in. And I'll just add a little space here because I find it easier to read. And there we go. So I'll open up Cubase and I'll hit record and move my mod wheel. And there we go. We're getting MIDI.